everyone! This week we're learning about Israel, and I know all about Israel since I used to live there. Before we moved to Portland, we lived in Israel for 6 years, and I took lots of pictures of life in Israel, and I'm going to show them to you and tell you about Israel with me and Chayla and Svi and Yehuda. So enjoy!
We lived in Jerusalem in a place called Ramat Eshkol, and we lived in an apartment building. This was our building, and we had lots of outside steps to get into our building. And then once we were in our building, we had 3 flights of steps to get into our apartment. There's Chayla on our steps. And when they were young, they learned how to walk up or crawl up the steps because we always had lots of bags and things to bring up our steps. And it was lots and lots of steps. In Israel, everyone had really small apartments, and we used to spend a lot of time outside, and we used to like walking a lot. We didn't have a car, so we used to walk a lot. So this is our street. We used to walk a lot up and down our street. We lived in a really busy street, and there was also a big shopping center in our street. And this shopping center had lots of stores. There was a toy store, and a restaurant, and a pizza store, and a Kotel, which is a store we buy food in. And all the stores would have their things that they were selling outside the store. So when you walked up and down the street, you could see all the stuff they were selling, and it was lots of fun. And even if we didn't want to buy anything, we used to walk up and down and just see our friends and see what they were selling, and it was always fun and exciting. And sometimes Chayla would bring her stroller with her doll, like this picture, and sometimes she'll bring a bike. We called it a bimba in Israel. And we always used to walk up and down the street. Sometimes we would shop, and sometimes we would just go on walks. But also we used to sit outside on benches a lot. Because in Israel, the streets are really always exciting and busy. There's always lots to see. People walking, people driving, buses driving, trains driving, lots of people walking. The streets in Israel are always busy and exciting. And we always like to be outside. And there's lots and lots of benches outside for us to sit and relax. And sometimes we used to bring snacks outside. This is Chayla eating a chocolate pudding outside the bench. This bench was right outside our house. Lots of times we would also wait outside on the bench to wait for Daddy to come home from work or from learning. And we used to sit outside lots of times on this bench. Also, sometimes the weather wasn't so good, or just wanted to be home, and we used to look outside the window. We wanted to see the exciting streets from inside our house. So lots of times the kids would just sit inside and look out the window. And sometimes they would even sit on the window. That's a little silly, but in Israel, lots of kids will sit in a window and look outside the street and see all the people and the buses and the cars. Sometimes we used to count how many buses do we see, or how many cars do we see, how many taxi cars do we see. And sometimes we will watch all the kids coming home from school in their uniform with their backpacks on. Sometimes we will look and see if we know someone that we know walking on the street. And if we had a porch, some people have porches. We didn't have a porch, but this was our friend's house. We used to go every day, and we used to go on their porch. And we used to watch outside. And right over there was an ice cream store. So it was always very exciting. And there was a supermarket right there, and a cleaners. So always fun and exciting things in Israel on the street. So we spent a lot of time looking outside or sitting outside. That's Chayla and her friend outside on the porch. And besides looking outside and looking at the streets, we used to also spend a lot of time in the parks. There's so many parks in Israel, and almost on every street had a park, and we would go almost every day to the park. We would eat supper in the park sometimes and play in the park. All the parks had different fun and exciting things to do in it, and we would switch off to the different parks so we don't get bored. This is one of the parks that we had next to our friend's house. That was actually a pretty exciting park, especially for the older kids. There were lots of fun things with the older kids. And when we went to the parks, we always saw lots and lots of people there, and there was lots and lots of people waiting for the swing. So when we used to go on the swings, we used to go on the swings with lots of people on it. This is Chayla and Svi with our friends on one swing, and this is Yehuda and his friend on another swing. We used to always share swings so that you could get more people a turn. This is Chayla eating a snack in the park, and in the summer we used to always make lots of barbecues and picnics at the park. And like I said, in Israel, we didn't have a car, and most people didn't have cars in Israel. So we used to do lots and lots of walking. This is us walking, and you see over here, there's a bus, and there's a bus stop over there. And this is a bus stop where we're waiting for a bus, and we had to walk a little further. We wanted to go somewhere further. We would take a bus, or we would take a train. This is a bus stop. This is another bus stop. And there's Svi over there waiting in the bus stop with lots of other people we don't know. And there's me and Svi waiting at the bus stop. And this is a train and a train station. This is the train station that was closest to our house. It was like a 10-minute walk to get to this train station. And then we used to go on this train and go to lots of other places. This is inside the train. We used to hold on just like that. There's Kyle and Svi and Yehuda holding on to the train, and our stroller just went right into the train, so it was really easy. Easier than a car, because in a car you have to fold a stroller. But when a train or a bus, we used to just go right inside. And this is called a tender. Kyle used to go to a gan, which is a name for preschool in Israel. They called it gan. And her gan was a little far away, so if we didn't walk, she used to go on a tender, which is a van. Like some people go on a school bus to go to school, she went on a tender. The tender used to drive every morning to pick her up, and we would say goodbye to her. The teacher would be in the tender and waiting for her, and she would drive to school in the tender and come home in the tender. This is Kyle with her backpack ready for her tender, and you see she has actually this is when she came home, and you see she has this bag. She's holding a bag. That was called a tikiya, and that was instead of a Friday folder. They brought all their projects home in a tikiya. And there's Svi and sitting on the bench next to our house with his tikiya. And there's Svi sitting on the bench again. And this time he's eating an igloo. Igloo is like kind of like an ices that's small and it's clear, so it doesn't get you dirty. And in Israel, in the summer, people eat one every day. This is snow in Israel. This is our street with snow taken from our house. And in Israel, it's like similar to Portland that we don't have so much snow. And when there is snow, it's a kind of a big deal. It's very exciting. And there's no school like Portland. And it's always very exciting. This is our street with snow, lots of snow. And this is our street. This is the building across from our house. This is what an apartment building looks like in Israel. Everything in Israel is made out of stone, if you noticed. See the stone building? This is our street with lots of snow. And what's special, the most special thing about Israel is there's special holy places and kadosh places that we daven at. This is the Kotel, and this is the outside wall of a Beit HaMikdash. And the Beit HaMikdash we don't have anymore. It got destroyed, but we have the Kotel. And people come from all over the world to Israel to come to the Kotel to daven. And we used to go to the Kotel a lot because we lived there for a long time. And we have lots of pictures at the Kotel. Here's Chayla and me at the Kotel. Chayla davening at the Kotel. She didn't know how to read, but she would talk to Hashem. She would give the Kotel a kiss. And she would also, here's our family at the Kotel. And my kids would also used to write like little notes asking Hashem for something or what they want to daven for. Go write it inside and put it in the walls of the Kotel, just like that picture. And here's Svi writing a note to put in the Kotel walls. Here's their davening, or sometimes we would say the alphabet at the Kotel. And this is a big mezuzah. And when you go into the Kotel, there's a big mezuzah. Bet you never saw such a big mezuzah in your life before. This is also, you see the Kotel in the background over there. And here, this is in H, which is a yeshiva, which was on top overlooking the Kotel. So it's a nice view up of the Kotel in the background. And in H, she had a model of the Beit HaMikdash. That means they build something that looks like the Beit HaMikdash. It's not real, but it looks like the Beit HaMikdash. So it's kind of cool. That's our whole family at the Kotel, overlooking the Kotel. And this is the old city. The old city is where the Kotel is in the old city. And that's a really old city, and it's the original walls from hundreds of years ago. That's us walking through the old city. It looks kind of old, right? It's called Ir HaAtika in Hebrew. And this is a shul called the Corbetts. It's a very famous shul in the old city. And it got destroyed many years ago, and they rebuilt it. This is the rebuild version. This is Chayla on the walls of the old city. And this is called Migdal David. And it's in the old city, and it's pretty famous also. And there's Chayla. You see over here in the background is the old city. You see the walls of the old city. And this is the Maritime Acapella. This is also another special place to daven. It's not in Yerushalayim. It's in a city called Hebron. And that is where our ancestors, this is Yaakov Avinu, was buried. And Leah Yeminu was buried. And Sarah Imenu was buried. And that's the outside, the Maritime Acapella. And this was on Sukkot. And Sukkot, lots and lots of Jewish people come to daven at Maritime Acapella. You see in the background, there's so many people. And this is another place to daven. This is where Rachel Imenu was buried, called Kever Rachel. There's Chayla and Yehuda's in the stroller. Yehuda's with the sitter, even though he didn't know how to daven. Yeah. There's Chayla. This is in a place called Geula. Geula is a place where they had lots of stores and pizza shops and restaurants. And if you wanted to buy a yarmulke or a tzitzit, or just to walk around, it was a fun place to be. This is Chayla, the day she got her first pair of shoes, walking in Geula. This is a pizza shop. In Israel, there's lots of pizza shops and falafel shops. Lots of places to eat. And what's different about Israel, that the pizza shops, they don't have plates. They have pieces of paper like this, and that's where, instead of a plate. And they also had a sauce for your pizza called a rotev. It's sauce. It was a special pizza sauce. This is in the zoo in Israel called the Gan HaChayot, the biblical zoo. It was a fun and nice zoo. And this is in a place called Teddy Park, which is next to the Old City. And in the summer, every hour, water was shoot up, and you could run inside in your bathing suit in your clothing and play in it. And as you see in this picture, there's so many people that would come. In Israel, everywhere you go, in the zoo or in Teddy Park or a regular park, there's always lots of people. Israel is a small country and lots of people live there. So it was always very busy. See lots of people having fun in the water. And this is a picture of the skyline of Israel. This is a Brig Bridge shaped looking like it looks like a harp. And actually the train would go on this bridge. There's a bus. And this is a beach. This is the Tel Aviv beach. There's lots of beaches in Israel. Just like in Portland, in Oregon, there's beaches. Also in Israel, there's beaches. This is the Tel Aviv beach with Chayla. And this is Chayla and Tzvi in the Tanya, another beach. And this is a camel. You don't see camels in Jerusalem, in Yerushalayim, but outside of Jerusalem, there's lots of camels. Sort of, there's a lot. Israel's a lot of desert, and camels live in the desert. And this is Achnasa Sefer Torah. When there's a new Torah that's being written, new Torah just made, they have Achnasa Sefer Torah, and they dance and sing with the Torah, and it's very exciting. And the car has lights on it and is decorated. And they give out fun pekalach, the candy, and this child is holding a light that they give out. It was lots of fun. Well, another thing special about Israel is all the chagim, all the holidays are always very exciting. This is Sukkot. This is our Sukkah, which is really, really small. But what's exciting about it was that it was on the roof of our building. And the reason why it's small is because lots of sukkahs were on the roof. And they had to make room for all the sukkahs. So all our neighbors' sukkahs were all on the roof. And we used to see everyone's sukkah. And this is a really big sukkah. That's actually a restaurant that was on our block. And they built a really big sukkah so that everyone could eat on the sukkah on Sukkot. And this is a bus that they decorated to look like a sukkah on Sukkot. Lots of times the buses were decorated for the chagim. This is Tzvi shaking the lulav and the etrog at the Kotel on Sukkot. Here's Hanukkah. Hanukkah in Israel is very different than Portland because lots of people will light outside. And they will light in a glass box like this. This is our menorah in our apartment. We lit in the window, but some people lit outside. There's our menorah in the window. And this is the Kotel's menorah. The Kotel also had a menorah, really big menorah. There's Chayla at the Kotel menorah and Tzvi at the Kotel menorah. And in Israel, every bakery, every pizza shop sold lots of donuts. You couldn't go by a whole Hanukkah without eating lots of donuts. There's Tzvi eating a yummy chocolate donut. This is the Chag of Lag Bomer, which is coming up really soon. In Israel, there was tons of bonfires all over the place. And it was always very exciting. And even though it was so late at night, all the kids would stay up for it. And they would give out ices, and they would be dancing and singing. And you would actually have to close your windows of your apartment, because if you don't, your whole house will like fire. And that's the end. Thank you so much.